Hello students, welcome back to your science class. So students, today we will start with a new chapter, and this chapter is management of natural resources, which will come for the internal assessment and board exam. So let us start. See, here it is said management of natural resources. So we know that what is a natural resource? Natural resource is what? Anything that we obtain from nature, anything that we obtain for environment, that we call as a natural resources. Like soil, air, water, these all are what? These all are the natural resources which we obtain from nature itself. They are important for our survival. And these various component, these are what? It is important for all the, these are what they are, these are the abiotic components which basically help that of the biotic component. So it is what? It is the natural resources. There are other natural resources also, student, that we use, we have understood about the forest, wildlife, water, coal, petroleum. These all are what? These all are the some of the natural resources which it is really very important for us. So in this chapter we will going to look about these natural resources, as well as try to understand the issues at stake in deciding how these resources are to be managed for sustainable development. What is a sustainable development, students? The development which meet the current basic human need and also preserve the resources for the needs of future generation. Here, sustainable development is what? The development that the development which help in completing the human need on a current basis, as well as we can preserve these resources for the needs of the future generation. This is what? This management, this development is called as a sustainable development. Okay, so we must conserve the environment, we must use it precisely, we must use it wisely, and conserve it so that the future generation can utilize it. Now see, we often hear about the environmental problem. Yes students, there are a lot of environmental problem, and we know that what is the reason. Even in the previous chapter also we have studied about the pollution, air pollution, water pollution, that how our environment get affected because of the because of our activities. Okay, so there are a lot of environmental problem, and this environmental problem, it is not restricted to a particular state or area, but this is a global level problem. And since the development is there, students, and due to which we are helpless to make any kind of changes due to international laws and regulations. So there are a lot of laws, lot of regulations which is which is there, given by, even the national laws are there, national act are there for the environmental protection, and there are national and international organization are also there, which is working towards the protecting our environment. So there is a need of managing our natural resources, and it is protected by a lot of organization who is working on it, and who is protecting our environment. Okay, there are a lot of act also, students, which is there to protect our environment. Now if we talk about that of the, you see students, that there is a really need of awareness regarding the problems which is occurring in our society of exploiting the resources. The people, they are not using natural resources, but they are actually they are exploiting, because they are they are overusing it, and this will affect a lot to that of the resources, and that's why there is a lot of a need regarding the regarding in the people regarding our environment. So there is a need of lot of awareness, and this awareness, it this rises only when some action is to be taken. Okay, and we heard about a plan, that is Ganga action plan, students. Why there is a need of a Ganga action plan? Because Ganga is water. Ganga, the quality of the water in a Ganga, it becomes very poor, and this happens because a lot of people, they start throwing their excreta and garbage in the Ganga, and due to which the water become polluted. So it is a source of water for us, so it's really important that Ganga should be free from any kind of a pollutant. See here, this is a graph, and a group of bacteria is there, students, which is basically present in the human intestine, and that we call as a coliform. See, this is the coliform, a group of a bacteria which is found in human intestine, and whose presence in water indicate contamination by disease-causing microorganism. So basically, their presence, it tells that there are the microorganisms are present there in the water. It tells that how much water is polluted. So when we look at the graph, this red one, it is showing the maximum, and this blue is showing the annual mean, and the green is showing the minimum desired level. So as you can see here, that the level is continuously increasing, and in different state you can find that what is the level of the microorganism, or the level of the pollution in the Ganga. We know that Ganga actually, it runs across from Gangotri in the Himalaya to Ganga Sagar in Bay of Bengal, and in this it passes through a lot of cities. What happened here, it get polluted. You can see it is written that in cities in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal, that pour their garbage and excreta into it. So untreated sewage which is dumped into the Ganga every day, that will like what that will cause a pollution. And not only the untreated sewage, see, the people, they used to immerse the ashes, the people, they used to wash clothes, they used to bath, unburned corpse, these all are also it is thrown into that of the into the Ganga river. And not only this, a lot of industries has been set up near Ganga river, and due to which they also contribute in water pollution. They used to discharge the toxic chemicals in the water, and due to which a lot of kill and other aquatic organism, because of toxicity, it kills in the river. So Ganga action plan, the need of the Ganga action plan is this only, because the Ganga is being exploited, you can say, or it's being polluted by the people. So there are some of the measurable factors that is used to to increases the quality of the water, to decreases the pollutant or the harmful thing which is present in the water. And for that, the people, they are aware, the people, they have given some of the strict rules regarding the river. Now see, we must know about the 3 R's. If we want to save our environment, we must be aware regarding that of 3 R's. And the 3 R's is reduce, recycle and reuse. We are using a lot of our natural resources, so we must know that first of all we must reduce the use of natural resources. See, you are at home, and right now you do not need lights or fan, especially in daytime you do not need lights. So what you can do, you can switch off the light. So this is a very small thing, with the help of which we are able to save our natural resources, because you know that the electricity is generated with the help of a coal. So coal is what? It is also a natural resources. the food that we get from the plants, we should not throw it. Even we can save our water. If any tap is leaking tap is there, so we can also protect it. We can also protect our water also. So there are very small things, students, with the help of which we are able to protect our natural resources. And the first thing is to reduce the excess use of the resources. Second one is recycle, the thing which we cannot which is not in a use right now. Instead of throwing it here and there, we can collect it, we can give to the in the factories or in the industry, where it will get recycle again. Like glass, metal item, these all are what, these are the material which which is what, first of all, when when it is given in the industry, it will get segregated, and then it will get recycled, and after recycling again launched into the market. So the second thing, that instead of throwing it, we can give it in the industries, and there it will be recycled. And finally, reuse. Actually, this is much better than that of the recycling. In the reuse strategy, you simply use things again and again, and instead of throwing away, use envelope, you can reverse it and use it again. See, there are a lot of you have seen in your when anything, even in your when the grocery items, when it comes to your house, if any jam or any food item like jam or a pickle, now is over, then what happened, the container which is of a glass or a plastic, it can be used again and again in storing things in the kitchen. So this is the reuse of the thing. So recycling, why reuse is much better, that instead of throwing it, you can use it again and again. Like here an example is given, like envelope. So you are using the envelope, and again you can use it by reverse it. The inside part will be blank, so you can use it again. So this is how you can reuse the material. So the 3 R's, we must follow the 3 R's in order to protect our environment. Now here the question is that why do we need to manage our environment? Why there is the need of managing our environment, students? So see, the thing that we obtain, the resources that we obtain, it is because of the nature itself. Okay, nature help in providing everything, not just the building, not just the food, clothes, but everything that is that we obtain from the nature itself. And the thing that we get from the outside to the nature, if we talk about nature here, I'm talking about the earth. The thing that the energy, the ultimate source is the sun only, which is outside to that of the earth. But everything, the resources are there, it is there on the earth itself, we get it from the earth itself. So there are lot of reasons by which there is a need of protecting our resources. The first thing is because of rapid increase in human population, the demand of resources has increased day by day. See, the human population, it is increasing at a tremendous rate due to improvement in healthcare. The demand for resources is increasing at an exponential rate. So due to increase in the human population, the people are increasing, overpopulation, the need of resources is, the people will be there, so natural resources will be consumed by them. More people, so more consumption of the natural resources. So the number of people are increasing, so the resources, the demand for the resources is also increasing day by day. So it is because of that the proper management of the natural resources, it should be ensured so that they can fulfill the need of a present generation. Also it can be there for the long generation. That's why it is written that the management of a natural resources, it requires a long term perspective so that these last for generation to come and will not merely be exploited to hit for short term gain. Okay, so it can be judicial, it can be used properly in order to fulfill the needs of present as well as the future generation. Then the other factor can be their students that like the proper management of the natural resources, it should be it is really important for the equitable distribution of natural resources so that all the people can benefit from the development of these resources. See what happened here. When the natural resources, if we are planning for a management of the natural resources, we must ensure that the resources must reach to each and every people. So equitable distribution of the natural resources can be it will be ensured by the proper management only, proper management of the natural resources, so that every people they can use the development of the benefit of these resources. Here, another factor to be considered while we exploit these natural resources is the damage we cause to the environment while these resources are either extracted or used. For example, mining causes pollution because of large amount of a slag which is discarded for every ton of a metal extracted. Hence, sustainable natural resource management demand that we plan for safe disposal of these wastes too. See, here it is said that the proper management will take into consideration that the damage which is caused to the environment during the extraction or the use of natural resources and to find ways and means to minimize this damage also. So management is there is what the proper management of the natural resources is important, because when we obtain the natural resources, when we extract or use that of a natural resources, we used to damage, we are the reason to cause the damage to the environment. So it is really important to minimize this kind of a damage. For example, even if we take another example, here it is said that during mining what happened, a large amount of slag is there, that in every ton of a metal extracted. So we must know, we must ensure that how to do the safe disposal of these waste too. Similarly, if some forest trees is to be cut for a various purpose, then what will happen, it will damage the environment. So then the damage to the environment, it also can be minimized by planting the new sapling in place of a cut down trees. So if we are using if we are using the natural resources, we must ensure that the resources, it must be uh, it must be we must it must be shows a less damage. Okay, now the forest and wildlife. Forests are what? These are called as a biodiversity hotspot. Hotspot is what, student, which is consisting of large number of species. So forest is what? Which consists of a large number of plants as well as large number of animals. That is what forest, and it is why, this is why it is said that it is what? It is the so so it is what? One of the major biodiversity of an area where the number of species, a lot of number of species can be found there, and it is because of that it is also called as a biodiversity hotspot. So this will include the plants and animals which we call as a flora and fauna respectively. So a large area of a land on which the trees and the other plant it grow naturally, it is called as a forest, students. Okay, however, yes, the range it varies, somewhere it is more, somewhere it is less. Okay, So one of the main aim of conservation is to try and to preserve the biodiversity that we have inherited, and it will, and the reason is this because the loss of biodiversity, it leads to a loss of ecological stability. See, there is a need, this is really important one, that what is the aim of a conservation of the what is the main of the management of the forest and wildlife. It is that to conserve the biodiversity which we have inherited. So conservation is to try and preserve the biodiversity which we have inherited, and there are experiment and field studies which suggest, it means we can say that why there is a need of a management of the forest and wildlife, because the loss of biodiversity, it will lead to a loss of ecological stability. So it is important for us to save or to protect our forest and wildlife. Now there are students, person with an interest or concern in something, we call them as a stakeholder. So when we consider the management of forest, we find out that there are 4 stakeholders. Stakeholders, I'm repeating it: the person with an interest, a person with an concern in something, they are called as a stakeholders. And here, stakeholders in case of the conservation of a forest, basically there are 4 stakeholders who are interested in the conservation of the forest, students. So who are those 4 stakeholders? The first one is the people who live in or around forest and are dependent on forest for various aspects. So basically the people who live in and around that of the forest, and they are dependent to some extent on forest produce to lead their life. These are what? These are the first stakeholders who work on the conservation of the forest. The second one is the forest department of the government. The forest department of the government which owns the forest land and control the resources from the forest. So first was the people who were living there, students, and their life is totally dependent on the forest. They need the resources, the shelter. You can say they live there. So the home is the forest only. So they are totally dependent on a forest, and even they lead their life with the production, the products that they get from the forest itself. And the second one is the forest department, that is hired by the government, and they owns the forest land and they used to control the resources from the forest. The third one is the industrialist. Yes, the industrialists who use various forest products for their factories, such as wood for making paper and furnitures, tendu leaves for making beedies. So this is tendu leaves for making beedies. So they are what? They are dependent on forest for the forest products, so that they can they can produce a lot of products with the help of the forest resources. That is industrialists. And fourth one is the forest and wildlife activist, which we also call as the wildlife nature enthusiasts. Enthusiasts or activists are what? Those who want to see the forest in their original condition. They want to conserve nature in pristine form. It's pristine means original condition. So they want to see the forest in the original condition. These are what, students? These are the stakeholders who work on it, who are there to manage the forest as well as their aspirations. Okay, so these are the person who are having interest or concern in the forest management. Now let us try to look all the four stakeholders, how they are, why the need of the resources. So the first one is the students, that is the local people. We have said that the people who live around. So the local people who live in the village around the forest, they need the forest product because they take firewoods, or that of the firewood fuel from the forest trees, as well as they need a large quantity of a firewood. They need a small timber and thatch. Bamboo is used to make slat for hut. Yeah, they need the bamboo in order to make their huts. Basket is needed for them to collect or to store food material. So the forest is really needed for them, even for fishing and hunting. They need largely made of a wood. So we can say here that, and even in addition with this, the people, they used to gather fruits, they nuts, medicines from the forest, and their cattle also graze in the forest area, or feed or other foders is collected from the forest. So you can see that the people, they are totally dependent for their basic need on the forest. Okay, then if they are near the forest, they can use the resources of the forest in the way uh, and that is that much damage is not done to the environment at all, because they are knowing the importance of the forest. So they need fruits, they need food, they need uh, leaves, or the branches, which we can say wood, small timbers. So these all are used by them in order to make their huts, in order to make their basket, in order to for fishing, or even for agriculture purpose also, and for their animals also. So they are not only dependent, but their pets, their animals are also dependent on the forest. So this is the first one. Then the second one is the forest department, students. So the forest department in independent India, it took over from the British, but local knowledge and local needs continue to be ignored in the management practices. See, first of all, we must know that the forest department, it is has a major stake in the resource of the forest and wildlife, because it is a good source of revenue for the government. And yes, it is a very important source of revenue for the forest department, and most of the forest revenue, it comes from the sale of cut down trees for timber. Okay, which is the wood used in building and furnitures. So in order to plant trees for timbers such as pine, teak, and eucalyptus, huge area of the forest are cleared of all vegetation, and this destroy a large amount of a biodiversity in the area, which can harm the environment. So the management of the protected forest area by keeping the local people out completely has also some ill effects too. Okay, so ill effect, because this destroy a large amount of a biodiversity in the area. So in order to get a good revenue from the industries, which they used to get it from the trees, from timber, so they used to plant the timber in order to get a good revenue by clearing the huge area of the forest of all vegetation. Okay, and ultimately this will also affect that of the biodiversity in that area. Okay, so this is about the forest department. Now industries, yes, the industrialist, they are having a major vested interest in forest resources, because they need raw material, and this raw material they get it from the nature itself, from the forest itself. There are some of the major industries which are based on the forest produce, like we can say timber is there, students. Timber industry is there, paper manufactured industry is there, then like paper mill, lac industry is there, even the sports equipment industries are there. So they need forest product in order to make their product, and this they can done by the deforestation, by cutting that of the trees, right? So yes, the wood from the forest trees is needed for manufacturing various type of a good, which is required for the development. But at the same time, the effort should be made to make up the loss of the trees cut down from the forest, and this can be done by planting the trees in place of the cut down trees. But one more thing is there, that it takes a lot of a time, and the continuous cutting of the tree, the destruction of the forest, what happened, it takes a time, if while planting that of the tree and cutting, it takes a time. So yes, the industries also cut down the trees in one area, and uh, uh, here one more thing is there, students, that a program that is called as silviculture, it has been started to replenish the forest by growing more and more trees in a plant. And what are the things were there in the silviculture program? What are the advantages of that? First of all, it maintains the perfect water cycle in nature. It prevents the soil erosion. It prevents the flood. It even increases the area of earth under forest, means which is really very good for the conservation, and it produces a large quantity of a raw material that is good for the industry. So the silviculture is that program which is really benefit for the industrialist, or as well as it also good for replenishing the forest by growing more and more trees and plant. Then the last one is the enthusiast or the activist. So the people, the certain people are there who are not dependent on the forest. They do not need anything from the forest in any way, but they wanted that the forest and the wildlife should be conserved to prevent any kind of a damage to the environment. They want the forest should remain in their original conditions so that it will not get damaged by anyone. So they started this by working for the conservation of the wild animals like tiger, lions, elephants and the rhinoceros. But they now recognizes that the need of the preserve of the forest is really important. Not only the animals, but the forest is really very important. And it is because without preserving the forest, we cannot preserve the wildlife. Wildlife for what? They are dependent. Their home is the forest only. So it is really important that we must protect our forest life. So they, first of all, they were working on the animals, but they came to know that it is important to preserve the forest first. Okay. So they start working on the conservation of the forest by preventing them from being cut down. So this is what these are the activists. Lot of things has been done regarding that, students, like lot of local people, they starts conserving their wildlife, they starts conserving their plants, and due to which a lot of andolan like Chipko Andolan, or even the khejri trees, which was protected uh, by the people, Rajasthan people. A lot of local people, they also starts protecting their forest. So we can say that these are actually the four main major stakeholders of the forest.